Instead of saying to yourself, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to exercise 5 days a week, start with a feeling. Ask yourself instead, how do I want to feel this year? How does my highest self actually feel? Hi, I'm Dr. Avanti Singh, and this is the Healing Catalyst podcast. I'm a medical doctor with over 20 years of experience and also a lifelong practitioner of Ayurveda. I created the Healing Catalyst podcast because we all deserve a different kind of conversation about health, one that's honest, holistic, and rooted in both science and soul. On this show, I'm joined by the world's leading experts to give you science-backed tools that you can start using today and actually stick with to build real health and longevity. I am so glad you're here. Now let's get to it. Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the Healing Catalyst podcast. I'm Dr. Avanti Singh, and I am so glad to be back with you again today for our last episode of the year. So here we are, December 30th, 2 days before the calendar flips to the next year, to 2026. And if you're like most people, and myself included, you're sitting with a strange mix of emotions, exhaustion and expectation. Part of you just wants to rest. I know that I do. And the other part of you is already writing the list, the goals, the things you want to finally fix about yourself and your life. And I've been thinking a lot about this time of year, at the end of the year, and I wanted to share something that's been really, really powerful for me personally. You know, a few years ago, I completely changed how I approach New Year's resolutions. And it's really made all the difference for me, not in just whether I stick to things, but in how I feel about myself while I'm doing it. So today, I really want to share this reframe with you and some of the science that really backs it up and is the reason that it's so powerful and really the reason that I think it's worked so well for me. So I'm really excited to share this with you. And, you know, by the way, I haven't done a solo episode in quite a while, and I keep hearing from all of you that you wanted me to do solos. So they're back again, and we're going to start incorporating them more into the podcast starting next year. But I thought, you know what, let's start with the first one on December 30th as we go into the new year. And you know, I wanted to share with you more about what I do every day, because that's what you've been asking for, is what are my tips for better sleep or for your nutrition and eating or movement? Or actually, a lot of you wanted to know, what do I do every day? You know, what are my routines? What are my practices? What are the products that I like to use? And so I'm going to be sharing more of that with you this year. And I really felt like this would be the perfect place to start with New Year's resolutions. So today, I really, really want to offer you a different way to enter 2026, not from a place of I'm broken and I need to fix myself, but from a place of I'm just a little out of balance, maybe just a little off my game, and I just want to find my way back. That is a really powerful shift. It's subtle, but it's really, really powerful, and it actually can change everything. At least it did for me. And so this is what I want to offer to you. Because, you know, the messaging that we get this time of year is relentless. It starts back in November, I think. It's 8 weeks now. It's December 30th today. And it feels like it's been 8 weeks of this messaging that we're getting from the entire world in all our conversations, right? New year, new you, transform your life, lose the weight, get organized, be better, do this, do that, right? It's relentless. It's never ending. And here's what I want you to know. That pressure, it's not coming from inside of you, from your body. It's not even coming from nature. It's not even coming from real wisdom or real science. It's coming from a cultural script that says you're broken, and on January 1st, you need to finally fix yourself. That is a completely messed up way of looking at things. And it's unfortunately really, really powerful and is sort of the dominant message that we all get. And that script, sort of that messaging, isn't working. That's the biggest problem, right? We get this messaging of January 1st, new year, new you, do it, do it, do it. But it actually isn't working for most people, right? Studies show that only 9% of people who make a New Year's resolution actually achieves it. That's not very many people. Nearly 80% of people have given up by the third week of January. There are studies to show this. And so, what does that say? I mean, it doesn't say that we're all just lazy and unmotivated. I mean, I think that's what we all think it means, but of course not. That's not what's really going on. We're not just lazy and unmotivated. This failure isn't about willpower, about us not wanting to do these things. We all want to feel better and do better. It's really about the framing. That's what I think it is. It's this framing that you need to fix yourself. And that is really what backfires. And there's actually physiology that backs us up, right? When you set goals from a place of, I need to fix what's wrong with me, your nervous system actually sees that as a threat. You activate a stress response in your body. Your cortisol goes up, right? And this chronically elevated cortisol, the kind that you get when you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you need to do more, that you have to do better, right? That kind of cortisol, that elevated cortisol, will disrupt everything in your body. It disrupts your sleep, it increases inflammation, and it actually makes change harder. That's the rub, right? A threatened nervous system doesn't change. It just tries to survive. And that's literally what we're doing when we tell ourselves, I need to fix this, that, and the other. I need to do better. I need to do better. That's what we're telling ourselves, is that we are not good enough. It's a threat. And here's the thing, our minds, our brains don't actually know the difference between a threat that we are actually telling ourselves about versus a real threat that's a lion chasing us, right? It perceives it the same way. So that's really ultimately the problem, right? We have been taught to approach the new year from a place of lack, and lack activates stress, and stress sabotages change. So let me offer you 3 reframes that will change everything about how you enter the new year and your New Year's resolutions. All right, let's get started. So reframe number 1, from self-improvement to self-alignment. So instead of saying, I'm going to improve myself, let's try and lean into this idea of, I'm going to get more aligned. Because here's the thing, what if nothing is actually wrong with you? What if something is just a little out of sync? Does that change how you think about it? Right? You're not trying to fix anything. You're just trying to get back into sync. In Ayurveda, we talk about 2 things, your true nature, which is your blueprint, and then your current state. And these are 2, Sanskrit words, actually. Your true nature, your blueprint, your genetic nature. That is something we call your prakriti. Your current state is actually usually a state of some kind of imbalance, because nobody is balanced 100% of the time. The only times that we're in 100% balance is when we're born and when we die. Every other moment of every other day that we are alive, we are constantly going in and out of our natural state of balance. And so that current state of, quote, imbalance, it can be very small, it can be very big. And that translates into the kind of symptoms that we actually have. That is something we call vikruti, okay? So again, your true nature, your genetic blueprint, is who you were born to be, the unique way that your body and mind are wired. It doesn't change. It's you at your core. That is how you are your whole life, okay? Your current state, that state of imbalance, is how you're showing up right now in this moment. And this is based on stress, on sleep, what you've been eating, the season, what life has thrown your way. Now, when those 2 things, your genetic blueprint and your current state, match, you feel like yourself. You have good energy, you have good sleep, you have a steady mood. But when those don't match, that's when things feel off. You feel tired, you feel anxious, you feel stuck. So health isn't about becoming someone that you're not. It's about becoming who you already are. And that is about becoming more aligned with you. It's not about fixing something, about improving something. It's about becoming who you are. It's about aligning what is out of alignment. It's about aligning with your true nature. That's a powerful reframe, and it changed everything for me. Now, you've probably heard a lot of people talking about visualizing your future self. This is a really, really powerful concept, and there's a lot of neuroscience and psychology behind this about how connecting to your future self actually is really, really powerful. That when people are feeling connected to their future selves, they make better decisions in the present moment. But for a lot of us, myself included, imagining a future self is really, really hard. I've always found this very difficult to do because our minds get in the way. We keep thinking, how will I become that person? What if I can't become that person, right? I know for me, that is like the tape that's going in my head all the time. So I've started using a different frame. I want to think about my highest self, not my future self. So I would offer that to you. What if you try to think about your highest self? Your highest self isn't someone that you have to become. You already are your highest self. That's who you truly are. Your highest self is just waiting for you to embody that person, that highest self. And that's a lot easier to connect to. You're not creating someone new, you're remembering who you already are. So I want you to try this with me. Now, you might be driving, so of course, don't close your eyes. But if you're just sitting and listening or, somewhere where it's safe to do this, try this with me. Close your eyes for a moment, okay? Visualize your highest self, the most empowered version of you. Now, imagine yourself 1 year from now, living your best life. How are you standing? What is your posture? How do you walk into a room? How do you feel about yourself? What are you wearing? Where are you? Who's with you? Get a really clear picture because that version of you already exists. That person is just waiting for you to bring that person to life. And here's the daily practice. Here's how you bring that person to life. Before any decision, ask yourself, what would my highest self do? When you're about to snooze your alarm, what would my highest self do? When you're choosing what to eat, what would my highest self do? When someone asks you to dinner or wants you to go do something or help them with something, but you know you need to really rest, what would my highest self do? Step into your highest self, one small choice at a time. And here's the thing, mastering your thoughts really takes some time, but behavior, you can change that right now. When you act like your highest self, you start believing that you are your highest self. So let's reframe, right? This is not about self-improvement. It's about alignment, about going back to who you are. And I find that this practice of asking, what would my highest self do? That is a really powerful way to keep reconnecting to who you already are, to realigning with the person that is inside of you. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just trying to go back to who you are. Okay, the second reframe, going from goals to feelings. Now, I want you to just think about a feeling that you want to cultivate in 2026 in the new year. Not just an outcome or a goal that you want to achieve. What is the feeling that you want, right? Now, here's the science behind this. It's a powerful reframe. Research shows that intrinsic motivation, pursuing something because it genuinely matters to you, is far more sustainable than external pressure. So when you're chasing a feeling that matters to you, Your brain will release dopamine, not just when you achieve it, but during the pursuit itself. The journey itself feels rewarding. And so that makes the whole thing completely different. It's not about getting to the goal, it's about the whole process of getting there, right? Because if you can stay in that feeling of how you want to feel in pursuing something that's important to you, that is going to actually fuel you the whole way. It's a totally different experience than only trying to get to the goal. It's actually the motivation of being in that feeling of getting to the goal, right? That is really, really important. So, how does this show up in real life? Let's really talk about that because it can sound a little esoteric, right? So, instead of saying to yourself, I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to exercise 5 days a week, start with a feeling. Ask yourself instead, how do I want to feel this year? How does my highest self actually feel? My highest self, I see myself feeling strong, feeling grounded, feeling energized, feeling at peace, whatever feeling it is, right? Pick one or two words. You can write them down in your planner, put them on your phone, and then ask yourself, what choices move me towards that feeling? What choices help me feel that way? What nourishes that feeling inside of me, right? In Ayurveda, we always say, what nourishes you will grow. If you want to feel grounded, you make grounding choices, consistent routines, warm, nourishing foods, time in nature. The feeling becomes the compass and the actions will follow. Okay, so that's a really powerful reframe, going from goals instead to feelings. And then the feelings lead to the goals. All right, reframe number 3, going from the calendar to nature's rhythm. Now, I kind of alluded to this in the intro already, right? The Gregorian calendar is a human invention, right? We have designed a calendar that says that January 1st is the first day of the year. Except nature doesn't have this calendar. It doesn't know that it's a new year on January 1st. January 1st is really arbitrary when you think about it in the grand scheme of the world, in the grand scheme of nature. It's a human invention. The winter solstice, well, that is a rhythm of nature. That's a seasonal rhythm. And actually, your body has evolved with nature. That is a real measure of time, not a calendar. We have just subscribed to that because that's what our culture tells us to do. Here's the science behind this. And we've talked a lot about circadian rhythms, seasonal rhythms. That's the whole basis of Ayurveda. And that's really what I'm trying to get at here, is that research shows that our circadian clocks are sensitive also to seasonal changes, not just to the daily path of the sun through the sky, but also to the seasonal path. For example, in winter, our bodies naturally need more darkness. They need more rest, more inward time. And that's actually reflective of what's going on outside in nature. All of nature sorts of hibernates, it shrinks, it goes inward, it gets quiet, it gets still, it gets dark. But why is it that we all think as human beings that because it's a new year on the calendar, January 1st, that now we have to go, 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 get out there and just do it, do all the things, make all the changes, fix yourself? It's completely opposite to what nature is telling us. It's completely opposite to what our bodies are telling us. How many of us really feel like go, go, go as soon as January 1st comes along? I think that if most of us are honest with ourselves, and we live especially in a climate that is colder in the Northern Hemisphere, I live here in Chicago, it's dark at 4 o'clock. I don't want to go, go, go. I actually want to just stay, stay, stay. I want to rest and retreat a little bit. And that is the natural rhythm of life. And so here's my invitation to you. When January 1st rolls around and you feel the pressure to hit the gym, launch the diet, overhaul your life, do, and your body is whispering, I just want to rest and chill out, listen. Listen to your body. Listen to your intuition. Listen to what your own gut, your own intuition, your own higher self is telling you. In Ayurveda, we call this time deep winter. And the response is not to push harder, but to nourish deeply. What if you use January for intention setting, for reflection, for building your inner foundation? What if? Because the truth is, spring is really the season of activation. That's when nature bursts forth, right? That's when your body also has more energy for launching and creating and doing. January is for planting seeds in the dark soil, not for demanding that they bloom. So tune into that, honor that. And here's what I promise you. When you shift from fixing to aligning, from goals to feelings, from the calendar to nature's rhythm, everything changes. I've experienced this myself. I know how powerful it is. You stop fighting your body and you start working with it. You stop setting yourself up for failure by February and instead start building something that's sustainable and powerful. And this is what Ayurveda has always taught. You're not broken. You're not a problem to solve. You're not something that you have to fix. You are a unique expression of nature with a true nature that, when honored, creates vitality, clarity, ease, and health. And the promise isn't perfection. The promise is alignment, alignment that feels like coming home to you. So, as you enter this new year, here's a journaling question for you, something to reflect on. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel this year? And what nourishes that feeling? Not what do I need to achieve or what are my goals? Not what do I need to fix, but how do I want to feel? Ask yourself this question. It could be the most important question that you ask yourself this year. And before I close, I have one more thing I want to share with you. You know, it's so tempting this time of year to add more apps, more trackers, more protocols, more things. You know, we think more information will transform everything in our life, including our health. And look, we live in a really incredible time, a really powerful time. AI can analyze your patterns. Your Aura ring can tell you that your HRV dropped. ChatGPT can generate a meal plan in seconds. But here's what I want you to really sit with. All of that technology tells you what is happening. It doesn't tell you how to respond or how to change things. Your Aura ring can tell you that you didn't sleep well, but it doesn't tell you how you, with your specific body, should sleep better or what you can do to do that. AI can tell you to reduce stress, but how are you supposed to do that in a way that actually works for you? This is the gap. You know, we're swimming in all of this data, but we don't have a framework for implementation that's personalized to who we actually are. And that's where Ayurveda is so powerful and is so essential. When you understand your dosha, your unique mind-body constitution, you're not just collecting more data, you're actually gaining a lens, a perspective for interpreting all the data that you already have. You learn how your body responds to the cold weather, to the heat, to stress, to the seasons. You understand why certain foods energize you and others drain you. Because here's the thing, in Ayurveda, we believe that the path to alignment with who you really are, with your natural state of balance, that's different for everyone. And it depends on your dosha, on your mind-body constitution. So what works for a Vata constitution won't work for a Kapha constitution. And what supports a Pitta constitution might actually aggravate a Kapha constitution. right? This is the original personalized medicine. Ayurveda is the original personalized medicine that is data driven. And in an age of algorithms and wearable tech, Ayurveda is actually more powerful than ever because it puts the understanding back into your hands. And if you don't know your dosha yet, you can find out what it is. Take the free dosha data assessment at myarvasi.com. It's linked in the show notes for you. It takes 5 to 7 minutes, and it'll give you something that no app and no AI can, the wisdom to understand how to respond to what your body is telling you. Because the goal isn't more data. The goal is alignment that empowers you to protect your health, to heal, and to take back your well-being into your own hands. And that starts with knowing yourself. And so as we step into 2026, into this new year, I hope that you can release the pressure to try to fix yourself, the pressure to optimize yourself with more technology. Get back to the basics. Choose a feeling to cultivate. Honor the season that you're in, and trust that the deepest healing comes not from more information, but from more understanding of who you already are. Thank you for being here. I am wishing every single one of you a very, very happy new year. So many blessings for a beautiful 2026 filled with health and happiness and joy, friendship, connection. I will see you back in a few weeks. Until then, be well. Thank you for listening to The Healing Catalyst. If you found this episode helpful, please hit follow and share it with a friend. And if you feel inspired, please rate and review because it helps others find this podcast more easily. For more insights and tips, head to my website at avantikumarsingh.com. And to connect with me directly, find me on Instagram at avantikumarsingh. I loved sharing this episode with you. My hope is that you heard something today that sparks a catalyst in your healing journey and helps you build lasting health. Be well, and I'll see you next time. This is a Dante 32 production.